I want to talk about overcoming indecision. I feel like, a lot of times we come to this point in our life where we have these major decisions that we need to make, and we definitely want to make a change in our lives, and we take all the steps, necessary to make that change. But then when it comes time to actually, pull the trigger and take action, sometimes we freeze up, we get scared, really is what it boils down to. We're afraid to move forward because moving forward, it's unknown. We don't know what's on the other side of this choice that we're about to make. And so, being able to push through that is, that takes work and it takes effort. So I read this great quote by Maria Forleo, and she says that progress begins with a brave decision. And I really love that, and it makes so much sense to me, because without making that brave decision, that decision to be brave and to be bold and to move forward, when you make that decision, that leads to progress. And so, taking action, even imperfect action, any kind of action, is better than just not doing anything, because you never know. If you make this decision, when you're standing at that point of decision and you decide to pull the trigger and you're going to do this thing and you do it, it's like, what could go right? Don't think about what can go wrong necessarily, but what can go right. And if you spend more time thinking about all the benefits and all the great things that could come from this decision, instead of living with this regret for the rest of your life, I should have done that. I could have made my business better if I'd have, hired a coach or fired that person or changed my job, or whatever that big decision is. At least you don't live with the regret. So being able to push through that, push forward, be brave, and make the choice, and then see what happens. She talks in her book about everything is figure outable, which is fantastic. She talks about, what's the worst thing that can happen. And so when you're standing at that point of indecision, I would encourage you to focus on the best things that can happen, and then plan for anything that you feel like could be a bad thing resulting from that. If this thing doesn't work out, what's going to happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? And the way to overcome that is you make a plan. You make a plan for the things that you're afraid are bad things that could happen. So, it's like, what if I fail? Well, what's your plan if you do fail? At least then if the worst thing does happen, you have a plan in place for that. The great thing is if you do the thing and it works out, then there's the possibility that you are transforming your entire life in that moment. So I encourage you to really, when you're in those moments of indecision, think it through and just take action. Be brave, and don't be afraid to change your life.